Welcome to this wonderful webinar today. We're pleased to have you with us. And we have to say at the beginning, roll tide. It's that time of year, and the Alabama football team is performing up to expectations so far. This is the Crisis Coach webinar series that's presented in conjunction with our good friends at the University of Alabama College of Continuing Studies. We're delighted to have them as a host and an underwriter of this series. This is the 9th in the series. Today we're talking about completing a intelligence network scenario. And Karen is jumped away from that, so I couldn't read it.
Sorry about that.
It's okay. Our presenter today is Karen Mazzullo. She's the Executive Vice President in charge of social media at Firestorm. We invite you to become our friend at Firestorm Solutions on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter, Firestorm Soul. We do have a hashtag. That hashtag is Crisis Coach. Firestorm transforms crisis into value. Firestorm empowers you to manage risk and crises. Firestorm expertise is crisis management, critical decision support, crisis communications, crisis public relations, and consequence management. We remind you, though, that the presentation today is not complete without the accompanying oral comments and discussion, and the work product must be read and considered in conjunction with advice from your organization's personal counsel. In addition, this information should not be considered legal advice or legal opinion. The College of Continuing Studies at the University of Alabama has been a co-sponsor and host of this webinar series for the last couple of years. You can watch past webinars by going to firestorm.com, and you can register for future webinars there as well. Our moderator today is our very good friend, Brenda Truelove. She's a program manager at the College of Continuing Studies. Brenda, over to you, please.
Well, good morning, Bill. I hope y'all can hear me. I'm not able to see the screen, but hopefully anyone else signed on might be. But I think we can go forward. So we do want to welcome everyone to the webinar today and appreciate your interest in our timely topic today. And want to let you know that here at the University of Alabama at the Bryant Conference Center, our college is engaged in working with individuals from all aspects of work life, and also we strive to be helpful in the community to individuals who are continuing their education well into their retirement years. So we really try to focus on the people at work, particularly in the field that I work with different businesses, manufacturing and technology fields. But we are here to serve our businesses that drive our economy in our state and our region. And we make ourselves available to do research and to help with topics that might come up from time to time. So we're here to serve, and we're very fortunate to have this opportunity to continue to work with our partners at Firestorm to get the word out about crisis management. And no more timely reminder of that than what's been going on in our world and really in the Southeast in the last couple of days. So we're very fortunate and very grateful to be here with you today, and we'll be glad to answer any questions. Bill?
And Brenda, this is Karen. You have a couple of programs coming up I have on the screen right now. You've got one on preventing employee litigation and another on planning for strategic management processes. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yes, thank you for pointing that out. We really have a great master management certificate program that incorporates several topics that are, of course, timely in the world we work in today, but dealing with critical legal, ethical, and strategic issues will be coming up October 21st to 23rd here at the Bryant Conference Center. People who probably would like to attend this would include high potential managers, of course, supervisors, executives, HR managers, and always risk managers and other HR personnel. But the topics that are included in that particular course talk about preventing employee litigation, what are the causes and likely causes of employee litigation, and putting into place policies and procedures for how to identify and reduce those risk factors. On the strategic management side, of course, most businesses are well aware of the need to develop a mission plan with stated objectives, and more importantly, okay, once you've got that, how do you put that into place? So we're very fortunate to have some really great instructors for these 3 days in October, and individuals can go to our website at training.ua.edu and pull up that particular certificate program, or they can always call me, and my information is showing on the screen, I believe.
Yes, it is.
Email address, great, my email address and telephone number, so I'm happy to help. And of course, we offer numerous other courses, but those seem to be the one that relate to our topic today.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Bill, I'm not going to make you introduce me since I already interrupted. So thank you so much, Brenda. Thank you, Bill. And thank you to the University of Alabama. We've enjoyed our relationship for the past 2 years and look forward to many more, and to educating your alumni, your current student body, and Firestorm clients and friends and community about your programs. I am Karen Masulo, and I don't know why I have that odd look on my face, but that is kind of what I look like. I am the Chief Intelligence Officer for Firestorm, and today we're going to be talking about taking a good look at yourself as we tie in a great deal of what we've talked about throughout the year. For those of you that have attended our complete series. If you have missed any, you can always visit our YouTube channel, and that's youtube.com/continuity experts, and I'll show you that before we leave the session today. I'll show you a couple of resources on our website so that you can review past sessions and download briefs and all kinds of other great things. So we're going to start off with a slide that we've been using for the past few series in the series, How Do You Know What You Don't Know? And it is our hope that we know a little bit more than when we started about what we don't know. What we know is usually about 25%, 15%. We do know what we don't. We do know what we don't know. For instance, I know I don't know how to speak Chinese. And so I know I don't know that. But there's a whole world of information that we don't know about it. And that's what working with your teams, within your companies, your organizations will help you. And that is part of what we call building out your intelligence network, because your intelligence network can be both internal and external. But where do we really start? And how do we do that? And what we like to start off with is a simple self-assessment. Due to the sponsorship and our great relationship with the University of Alabama and Brenda Truelove and others on her team, that self-assessment, it's normally about $2,500, and that fee is waived for you if, when you reach out to us, you let us know that you heard about that self-assessment via University of Alabama webinar session, and I'll show you where to contact us on our website, or you can certainly email us at webinars@firestorm.com. And that self-assessment is it's a conversation and a questionnaire of where you feel that you are right now in your business, and takes about 45 minutes to an hour, and it'll give you a really good concrete starting place. So Firestorm really recommends that's where we start when you're looking at how to take a good look at yourself. The first thing you do is a good solid self-assessment. From the self-assessment, however, then we want to move into something that's a bit more detailed, and that is where we next recommend that you move forward to a benchmark against best practices and standards, and do a clear gap analysis. From the gap analysis, we then move into a risk analysis, the business impact analysis, what's going to happen to your business or your company or your facility should a crisis occur, how do you evaluate the severity of the crisis, and then we want to look at the specific strategies related to the specific instances, threats, risks, or crises that you identify. Once we've identified what strategies that you may take in response, we need to plan. We need to plan for what those are, how will they be implemented, and what are the strategies for implementing our plans. Well, if we have plans, we must communicate them, and during a crisis, communications must be quite clear. So we're going to talk about that and look at a couple of tools that will help us understand exactly who we need to communicate with, who does the communications, and can't do any of that without training and awareness by your teams, your employees, your senior leadership, and even others in your community, suppliers, vendors, etc. Once you've trained, we never know how training has gone unless we actually do some real-world exercises and some testing. And the exercising and testing really goes to also the gap analysis, because it's going to help you understand, do we have the right people in the right places at the right time? Are we leveraging the best of our people in the right roles? And how deep are we in that? You know, recently we were very pleased to have had more than 300 companies participate on a virtual test exercise that we conducted. We did one for schools and one for businesses, and hopefully we'll be doing another probably at the first of the year. And we created a very simple scenario of a lightning strike on a building that resulted in injury and fire and some other challenges that occurred for the business. And we had groups of people all over the world participate with their teams in a conference room. And we had them communicate with us via the chat and messaging function within the GoToWebinar application. And the things, the items, the gaps that they identified through that exercise were enlightening to both us and the participants. We had tremendous feedback, and people really learned a great deal just from a simple 90-minute exercise. So imagine what you can do if we actually come to your site, sit down, and do an actual tabletop exercise with some real-world testing. We know that it will help you as you move forward in assuring that your people and property and community are safer. And then once we've done our gap analysis, we've done a risk analysis, got our strategies in place, are ready with our planning, we've got our communications down, we've done our training, exercising, and testing, we want to make sure that we go back and maintain and update our plans and our programs. And technology has made that easier for us today, and we're going to talk a little bit about what that means to you. Now, in order to do these different pieces, one of the things we have talked about for the last 3 sessions or so is creating an intelligence network. And our president, Jim Satterfield, likes to say you've got to do it before now. So if a crisis were to occur in your facility today, we need to make sure that we have all of these parts and pieces in place now. And it's not that Firestorm can identify your organization's next crisis, because crisis is unique to companies, their culture, their employees, their products, but it's so that you can identify your organization's next crisis before now. Do you have your program in place so that you can help your leadership lead your company in its most profitable and safe manner? And we do that by implementing a very simple predict, plan, perform methodology. Now, if you follow our predict, plan, perform methodology. It really breaks things down into some very easy pieces. So let's look at predict first. In predicting, first we need to understand your specific company. So this is very custom to every company, your company culture, your employee culture, your facility, your physical location. You may be in the middle of a city, or you may be in a very rural area. And we must sit down and really understand the vulnerabilities, threats to your business, and the impacts they most likely would have, from the most severe to the least so. We want to not only look at how we monitor that, how we monitor what those threats and risks are, but what then are the triggers that actually activate your next phase, which is your plan. In the planning area, this is where we develop clear policies, procedures, and processes, so the actual framework of what will happen next. And you must have clear policies, procedures, and plans in place so that you can make critical decisions when you do indeed activate your plan. And we're going to show you a tool in a little bit that will hopefully help you do that in a more clear and organized way. And then certainly at the end of the predict and plan process, we must perform. We have to make sure that we have implemented viable solutions that our teams have been trained on and that have also been tested. In theory, something may look great, but in practicality, it may not work. So we really want to look at your training program. How is decision-making made within your organization? What is the approach? What about your suppliers? How are those decisions made? What about just supplies alone? You know, when we look at the tragic situation in Mississippi at Delta University yesterday, there were two things that I noticed. And the first was that the university was using Twitter to message almost exclusively, because something that we have discussed that has happened in almost every situation of workplace or school violence that we've seen, and that is that the university's website crashed. We must do load testing as a part of our plans so that when people come to us for information, we're able to provide it. The other thing that I saw, and they were doing excellent messaging via their Twitter account. I really congratulate them under stress for being able to be so clear. The other thing that they had mentioned, which was very important, was that because they were in lockdown for an extended period of time because the shooter was an active shooter situation, they needed to make sure they were able to bring supplies to their more than 5,000 students who were locked down, including food, water, medicines, and other things that may be needed. And I thought it was an excellent communication of how they were going to be doing that, and felt it seemed evident to me that they had walked through this, they had planned for an event, and were very clearly communicating that. So all of this is part and parcel of building out your comprehensive program, so that should something happen, you're able to move forward in a way that, again, preserves the safety of people. Every crisis is indeed a human crisis. So what do we do next as you move forward to build a comprehensive program? We've talked about monitoring, and monitoring alone, it's not the end all. There are other business indicators that and everyone needs to discuss. So external monitoring alone is not the full answer. In order for you to build a robust business intelligence network that gives you signals and flags to identified risks and threats to your specific organization, Any possible threats must, first of all, be clearly understood. Everybody must understand what is the threat and what is the severity. You may have one group of people in your organization who think a threat is of a priority, and other people who simply don't understand what that threat means. So these issues must be clearly documented and understood and then discussed. And you must document and categorize in advance with very specific activities associated with each type of threat. So your threat response, is going to be different if a tornado is headed towards your building than if there is a significant data breach of your systems. Additionally, with a weather system, we may have some advance notice. So, with Hurricane Sandy, we knew for a week or more that something was headed toward the northeast coast. Firestorm actually held 2 webinar sessions to discuss strategies and plans. We had insurance companies and other significant interested parties giving advice and helping people with their plans and their actions. In the situation like yesterday at Delta, that was something that was just a completely unexpected situation. So certainly the responses, actions, and activities are going to be separate for both, although they may have some crossover similarities. So what exactly are the activities, the actions and responses? What are the common threads that are unique to your business, your building, the location, your campus, your customers, your employees, your management functions, visitors? Don't forget, how many visitors do you have at any time in your facility? How are they tracked? Do you know where your employees are at every moment? I remember on 911, the company I worked for at the time, our headquarters were in Boston. We had a major hub in New York. We had 246 people in the air. Some of them were flying from Boston to New York, and they were our senior leadership teams. And it was a very, very stressful time for the company because we were without our leadership, unable to communicate with our leadership, and didn't know where they were. So we really learned quickly that we had to be 3 deep on decision-making positions. We had to be aware of what was going on, where our people were. We knew what our communication and escalation points were afterward. We had procedures in place to intervene dependent upon how the situation evolved. We implemented immediate, more robust notification systems and created much more complete decision-making processes with involvement of others within the organization. So no matter the size of your company, whether there are 5 of you or 50,000 of you, all of these parts and pieces must be looked at. So where do you start? And at Firestorm, we've identified the 5 common failures in any organization, and they're listed by severity. And the first is the failure to control critical supply chains. You must bring your supply chain into the conversation. What would happen if there were a major weather situation in a country where one of your key supplies are imported? Do you have a backup? Do you have a backup to your backup? Do you understand what their business continuity plans are? Have you done a thorough analysis with your supplier so that you understand how it would impact your employees, your customers, and your survival of your very business? And then the second common failure we see is the failure to train employees for both work and home. 75% of employees surveyed said that they had no idea what to do in a given crisis in their organization. They didn't know whether they just were to flee the building, and if we're talking about a significant weather event, what happens? Where do we shelter in place? How do we eat? How do we take care of employees who may need special care and attention? And family trumps work. And 90% of employees said they had no plan for home if a disaster struck. No reunification plan or communication plan with their children, their spouse, or others within their home. Firestorm has made available our book, Disaster Ready People for Disaster Ready America, authored by the three founders of Firestorm, Harry Rulin, Susie Laughlin, and Jim Satterfield. I'll show you where to download that at the end of the session. You can download it as an ebook, or you can actually order the physical book itself, include an introduction from your CEO, and our moderator, Bill Baker, can give you more information on that if you're interested. And so training your employees for home allows them to be better prepared to respond in the work environment. They'll be more focused on assisting other employees or the workplace if they know that their family has a plan and that they are safe. The third most common failure is the failure to identify and monitor all threats and risks. And that's what we've been talking about for the last 3 sessions, is building out your intelligence network. Conducting exercises and updating plans. Many people stop. They look at their supply chains, they train their employees, they identify some threats and risks, and they stop there. And they never conduct exercises and update their plans based on the results from those exercises. And last is the failure to develop a clear crisis communications plan. And this is different from PR. PR is when you want to push a message out. Public relations is about putting a message out, new announcements, new movements within your organization. Crisis communications is something very different, and it requires a very specific plan. Again, we want you to be able to predict, plan, and perform by identifying and involving your critical suppliers, your critical functions. And this is a miss many people make, is when they sit around that table and plan, the suppliers aren't at the table, key functions within your organization are missing, and critical employees are not at the table. Once you have those people at your table, buy a nice pizza and some salads, conduct your what-if exercises, and establish how you're going to monitor and communicate very clearly throughout an event. Now, to do this, we can look at what are the stages of escalation. For Firestorm, we have very clear 5 stages of escalations, and it is the base of all of our plans. We start with the pre-action phase, where we have done all of our analysis, our gap analysis, established a framework, we've done planning, we've done testing, we know how we're going to respond, our communications are in place, and then there is the onset of an event. Now, once there's the onset of an event, we need to look at what is the impact assessment. Is this a data breach of all of our systems? Have we lost our key servers? Can we not do business at all? And is this something that is a critical event that requires our emergency response plan to be activated, or is this something with a passing impact, something that can be well handled and we can move on to post-analysis and the hot wash? If there is a severe impact, we then must determine, is it time to activate our crisis management plan once we've declared a crisis, and move into the crisis response and recovery phase, where all aspects of the organization are involved. They may be affected, whether, again, it's something like a workplace violence incident that has a significant effect on our business for a period of time that requires responses for a week to 40 or longer because we have a crime scene, we have counseling for employees, or is it something that affects all systems and suppliers, technology breaches that could affect our business for an extremely long term? And once we've moved through, we activate our business continuity plan for recovery, and at the end of the cycle, we need to look at how things went, what we did, what needs to improve, and conduct that hot wash. So in that 5-step activation matrix, we want to anticipate, and identify all threats. So we're going to have a very large document that helps us anticipate from the most severe to the least. We're going to establish a business intelligence network and response team. These are things you can start doing today. Coordinate with other active threat programs, the response protocols in your business. Remember to involve not just local law enforcement, but who's in the office next to you, who's in the property next to you, who's behind you, who's in front of you. Identify primary and alternate assignments. Make sure, just like at Firestorm, we operate on the HR rule of 3. We're 3 deep. Make sure that you have that ability in your organization and that you have the right people and the right functions. And then document team actions, clear criteria for the activation levels for specific types of threats, document your response procedures for elevated and urgent threats, and document your messaging and response protocols. And we do that through one of the tools I mentioned, and this is the impact the hazard impact matrix form. And as you can see, if you had this in a spreadsheet or a workbook, this is going to be quite a robust document. And first you want to identify all of the different types of events that you see may happen. You want to give them a probability score, very high, very low. How fast is the onset? So if it's a tornado, we're able to see it coming, 25 minutes before it hits us. Once it leaves us, we have some other weather coming in, but the probability of another tornado within minutes is a little lower. The onset was very fast. We had some forewarning, not a great deal. The duration of the event itself, was it very short, but there are long-term consequences. And then you walk through the hazard impact matrix form on every risk or event that you can foresee. And then we want to look at those events and categorize them. So we look at a category 1 incident as the least no potential for media, regulatory investigation, etc., as an example. And this is our event activation matrix. We look at category 2, and that's sort of that middle ground where there is potential for brand, reputation, regulatory investigation or involvement. There may be some outage of business. And then category 3 is the clear crisis, where there is high potential for business loss, for other loss, serious damage to property, injury. You may have complete data center failure. There's an extended outage to your business that has impact to everyone that comes into contact with your business. And then we want to look at the structure within that activation matrix. So we have an event, and what is the reporting structure, and who makes critical decisions? So you must outline that. Do you have a board of directors? And then is there a crisis management team that will be reporting and communicating directly to that board? Is there an incident response team specifically trained, the IRT for this specific incident? And do we have on-site emergency response personnel? Is it external or internal to us? And who are the support personnel for each part and each team within that matrix? What we look at Firestorm now is the next step. We look at the next evolution of business continuity and resilience. And we do that through something we call business crisis risks. These are the risks that we see embedded in an organization due to the structural design or a breakdown in the operational or functional processes within the organization. And if not eliminated, these risks escalate and can result in disproportionately adverse events that impact your company at a critical level. And preparing for these risks is the responsibility of your board, your leadership, and your management. Unfortunately, most management teams don't know how to identify these risks before they occur, which is what we call before now. So another part that we want to help you look at is looking at what is your embedded crisis risk. They're structural, and that refers to the framework of your organization of management. And this is the communication of information through your organization, how transparent it is, and the behaviors of your senior leadership. Then there's operational, and that refers to how your company handles basic business processes. Last, functional refers to the normal silos that you find in an organization. We all talk about trying to break those silos down, but the moment that you break a silo down, another one gets built. And so we need to look at some of those normal functional silos between we have finance and operations and sales and marketing and others. And why do we talk about business crisis risk as the next important phase? Well, studies of business crisis risk indicate that most crises can be foreseen, but that management chooses not to prepare, or they're so busy that they get focused on one or two key areas of risk, and the risk actually occurs somewhere that they had not determined to be a criticality. And our internal research has shown that business crisis risk falls into identifiable patterns. They're indicators that are shaped by severity and frequency, and we identify these risks and help you, your company, and your management avoid or mitigate the severe financial and human impact that, quite frankly, cripple many companies. Targeted crises are easily identifiable. They only become complex due to completely ineffective crisis management or just ignoring the problem. Jim Satterfield has always said denial is our biggest competitor, and that happens a great deal in this area. And a complex crisis has many different attributes, so there are many seen and unseen factors that contribute to what can be a very complex situation. Your time to react, if you're reactive and in an urgent place, the entire organization is not all consumed by the event. They carry on other business functions while a crisis is occurring, and you have one team or two that are focused on the event. When you move into the extreme urgency phase, the entire organization is consumed by it. Media, external sources are consumed by your event. Every business function and operation and process is involved in mitigating the event. The organization cannot and will not function in an efficient manner, and it becomes an all-consuming activity. We are happy to share this predictive diagnostic model with you that we have developed to help you understand. Most companies will focus in that blue quadrant in acute business crisis. It is an overwhelming event. There is confusion. Speed is quality. What we miss, however, are the things that we can actually be predictive within. And those are the severe, chronic, and very difficult situations. And these are very complex, require extremely urgent response, and can lead to the complete collapse or failure of a company. And this is what we really want to talk about, and we'll be talking about in more depth next year. You know, your actionable intelligence strategy for before now is really a simple formula. It may look somewhat complex, but it's about tactical actions first, which include your business crisis risk audits, internal audits, board and management training, and an analysis of physical security. We have that intelligence network that includes social media intelligence, or SMI. We have action indicators, the AI, and last, your communications. So it's about tactics, intelligence, action, and communication. And that all fits under the confines of our methodology in predict, plan, and perform. I just want to leave you with an if. If you were able to react and identify challenges before now, the next steps for this would be to look at your information now as strategic versus tactical. Tactical are plans, we know who does what and when they do it. Let's look at it strategically from a very high level for the life and the health of the business. Look at your business crisis risk, create a robust intelligence network. Talk to us about instant access tools. You can contact Firestorm to learn how to not only find tools that your people can have on their mobile devices and have available to them at any time, but you can participate in an exercise with your team, align your plans to best practices, and create your own robust intelligence network. Now, as I promised, I'm just going to take you very quickly to our website so that you can see a couple of things. And the first is, if you go to Firestorm Learn on Demand, the book, you can find the book that I mentioned, Disaster Ready People for Disaster Ready America, and you can download that ebook for free. On the right-hand side of your screen, while you're on that page, you can click Contact Us, fill out a form, let us know that you attended the University of Alabama session and that you're interested in that self-assessment that we're going to waive the fee on if you mention the University of Alabama for us on that. And you can find other information, other briefs, and a copy of this session and this session's brief by going to Learn on Demand again on our website and clicking Webinar Briefs. That will take you to this page, and you'll see all of the webinar links and recordings that we've done throughout this year with briefs that are associated with them. And this one will be added shortly so that you can reference the materials that we've covered today. I want to thank everyone for attending our session today, and I specifically would like to thank the University of Alabama, Bama at Work. Please don't forget to inquire about dealing with critical legal, ethical, and strategic issues occurring October 21st through 23rd at the Bryant Conference Center. And as always, thank you for attending today. We are firestorm.com. You can email us any questions or comments at webinars@firestorm.com. And I believe I've gone over my time by about a minute. So, Bill, thank you. I was briefly muted, sorry. So thank you everyone for attending today. And Brenda, thank you, and thank the Bama at Work program for cooperation and underwriting in this specific session today.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you everyone who participated today.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you. Have a great day, and this will conclude our session for today.